Hey, this is Kim with what's now Little Biz Resources, and I just wanted to let those of you followers on Lead Generation Source know that I've been posting on Little Biz Resources, not so much last year as it was a tough year for time, and but I wanted to give you this opportunity to learn more about drop shipping and how well you can do. I had a crazy e-commerce year, so e-commerce is definitely in. So I went ahead and posted the replay or the recording of what I did live earlier here as well, because I wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity to see it. And please make sure you go over to Little Biz Resources YouTube page and follow that instead. Thanks. Hey everybody, Kim here with Little Biz Resources, and I wanted to talk about Kibo Code Quantum because it is closing this week, Thursday at midnight. And I do feel like it is one of the best opportunities to both make money online and start with e-commerce. So I wanted to kind of talk about, this is a combination of the two, right? So what has 20 plus years of e-commerce taught me? And the funny thing is that it teaches me the same thing over and over and over again. And yet I keep ignoring it. And I'm hoping that, well, I'm pretty sure this year is going to be the year I get it. And this sort of piggybacks off another question that I get this a lot. Did I make money with Kibo Code last year? And I wanted to address that because I'm not going to lie and say I did. But the problem was that Kibo Code in 2020 launched right before the pandemic shut down, and it shut down the entire world, right? So supply was very hard to find. So Chrissy, my sister, and I both have existing e-commerce stores. And because we have our own product here in the US and we're shipping to the US, our stores actually increased significantly in traffic and sales. So the drop shipping supplies were very difficult to find. And we were like, well, we are spending a lot of time trying to find supplies, and our demand, the time we have available, was going down. And I'm going to talk exactly, this is the exact problem we had, right? And this is, we're going to talk about why Kibo Code actually fixes this problem. So we weighed our options and decided to set aside Kibo Code for just a little while. We were going to go back, but we should have kept doing it. And here's why. And of course, on all of these pages, I'm going to have the standard disclaimer that no matter what amounts you see or what amounts we talk about, there are no guarantees. No matter what you do, you're going to make a certain amount of money. All right, so what went wrong with our current business models? So Chrissy was so busy by April, so the month of April, she did $30,000 in sales. And I'm going to guess around $20,000 in profit for the month, okay? Now you say, whoa, $20,000 a month in profit, that's not bad. How can you go wrong with that? Look, she was working every single moment she was awake, and then ended up with pneumonia. In fact, she was making herself sick. I went to go help her. So I shut down my stores and went to go help her because I didn't want, actually, my husband kept my stores open and I went to go help her. But my sales weren't like hers yet. They did build a lot since then. But yeah, $20,000 in profit sounds great, but that's the maximum amount she would likely ever be able to do for profit in a month. And honestly, she hasn't done that again, even though she could have. And that's because it's not worth her health, right? Well, some of you may say, yes, it is, but it's really not. She can't keep that level up. So if she wants to make, if she wants to do $20,000 a month in sales, she needs to be able to close down. She has to close down and catch up and only work so many hours in the week, so that way she gets some rest at some points. So what if you want to make $50,000 profit in a month? With that particular business model, she would have to scale to the next level to make profit. But to do that, and we'll talk about this in a minute, she'd have to add on employees. She'd have to expand her location. She'd have to go to another location. She'd have to increase her inventory levels. She'd have to keep storing that inventory, managing it. And her margins would be much lower because she's got all those increases. So she may have to do $100,000 in sales to make $50,000 in profit instead of $30,000 in sales and $20,000 in profit. So again, that may not be like a whole lot of numbers there. And unfortunately, I just don't have the exact numbers to be able to say how it would be, because she's not interested in expanding. So she's stuck at a maximum of $30,000 in sales as a maximum amount that she can do, right? So I ran into the same problem with my stores. I can only fulfill so many orders in a day, right? I can only fulfill so many orders in a day. And if anything goes wrong, or I have to take my daughter to the doctor, And many of you know that both her and I have massive medical issues, and we are frequently in and out of emergency rooms and stuff. So if that happens, in fact, this happened to me last Friday, right? Silly me, I made cookie dough thinking it was gluten-free. I'm allergic to wheat, and I didn't pay attention, and I made it, and then it was the first time I ever made it. So I made the little balls of dough and put it on the cookie sheet, and then I read the instructions, and I went, oh, wait, I did the wrong thing. Yes, that was a sale coming into one of my stores. I said, oh, wait, I did the wrong thing. I'm just going to eat those so they won't burn. And then shortly, a little while later, I was looking for my EpiPen, and I was downing some Benadryl and almost rushing to the hospital. But that knocked me out after, the Benadryl thankfully was able to control it, but it knocked me out for the rest of Friday night and most of Saturday, right? So I lost almost 24 hours of time because of that. If I were running my sister's business, that would have like, I don't know, would have ended life for me at my e-commerce business. You can't do that, right? You have to have some sort of flexibility in your business. And if you're capped out, you have no room. You're basically on the edge of crisis mode. Okay. And my background's in business and continuity planning, and that's something that I identify in that is, look, you are on the edge of crisis mode, or technically you are in, you've got crisis warnings right there. That's a warning. So our businesses are the exact same way. We cannot fulfill enough orders to sustain, $100,000 a year in sales, let alone a month. And so that there runs into a problem, right? So let's see how Kibo Code Quantum works. Your work on Kibo Code. So here's kind of this outline here, and it shows you the whole thing. So you add products to your store right here, which, by the way, this is on Kibo Code. This is part of Kibo Code. You don't have to buy Shopify. You don't have to buy WordPress or anything else. You're going to use their system, and it's going to be free for at least 6 months. Okay, free for at least 6 months. Then customer visits you, and then after that, it would be a nominal fee. And I don't know how all that's going to work yet. We're still kind of learning everything. This is the first time I've ever seen somebody say, hey, look, we're going to build our own platform, right? Because they wanted to solve that problem. So my store, right? I pay for Shopify here for one of my stores, and everything here I have to do everything, right? So I actually manufacture the products. My business, I manufacture the products. I do everything. I'm the supplier. It is impossible for me to make a ton of money simply because I have to scale. And I think it's the next one you'll see where I talk about that. So here's how Kibo Code works though. So you add a product to your online store, which is a Kibo store. Then you're going to market on a free platform right here. So you add products, market in the free traffic source here. They come to your store, buy your product, and pay you. You then place the order with the supplier, and the supplier sends it to the customer. So your work, you add products and you market in the free traffic source. You got to go to the sales page to find out what that is, or to the next workshop. You do have some setup though. You need to pick a domain name. And by the way, if you go to littlebizdomains.com, so instead of Little Biz Resources, it's littlebizdomains.com. You can get one for $9.99 a year for a .com. So you pick a domain name. You may have to set up a payment processor, something like PayPal. They may have something else in there. We haven't gotten that far. We have started, but we haven't gotten that far. All of this takes place Friday, right? Friday is going to be our next module where we start actually ramping up everything. And you need to follow the training, of course. So there's some stuff that you need to go through and learn about because you want to know how to do these things right and how to optimize them, right? There's not a lot of training. The training is exceptionally easy so far. And it's so simple that I'm not going to say a monkey can do it, because if a monkey touches my keyboard, I'll never touch my keyboard again. But anyway, so the supplier, they're going to store the inventory. They're going to ship the product. They're going to reorder inventory as needed. They're going to work with the manufacturers, or they're going to be the manufacturer, right? So they're going to do all of this stuff that you do not have to do now. Remember I told you that because my sister and I, both of us have e-commerce models where we have physical products. We have to store our inventory. We have to ship the products. Shipping takes a lot of time. Oh, I've sent out, Chrissy and I did this once. I have a picture of it. We sent out 100 orders one night, and, pulling it off the place, getting it ready, getting it in the shipping, getting all the shipping done, processing it through Etsy or Amazon or wherever that we're selling through. You're getting that out. It takes time. It takes time, right? So storing the inventory takes a lot of space. Her entire house is pretty much full of inventory. my basement's getting there, right? And my house is like much bigger than hers. And so I don't have as much inventory as her, thankfully, but some of my inventory is pretty small. But anyway, so ship the product. They're going to reorder inventory as needed. So think about that. You don't have to worry about it, right? You don't have to worry about, oh my gosh, it's low in inventory. Now I need to contact my supplier and figure it out, right? And if they either manufacture or they're working with manufacturers, that's something you don't have to do. I can tell you this, working with manufacturers, I did this when I was doing white label on Amazon, which I still do white label on Amazon. But I did this before and I spent $10,000, actually probably more than that, after shipping and everything was done, over $10,000 with a manufacturer in China. And I started out wanting to spend $1,000, and it took us, I think, 8 months just to get the product shipped, right? 8 months to get to the point where the product was shipped. So this is a huge thing that taking this off of your hands is just a huge, huge, huge value. Now, here's what the Kibo system does. Manages these suppliers. Now, you don't have to worry about them. You don't have to work directly with them. You're going to work with the Kibo system. They're going to have everything in their system. The Kibo system provides you with a website. It integrates with selling platforms. I'm going to give Walmart as an example because that's a big one that people want to be on right now. And of course, you'll get training. So it'll teach you how to market or advertise, which both. And it's going to walk you through how to do everything, how to build an entire profitable business. All right. So it closes on Thursday at midnight. I want you guys to understand. And now here's why Kibo code is ideal. So here we go with inventory. So this is me with inventory. Remember I told you just the one product I did was $10,000? That was one product, right? I would say that my store right now, one of my stores right now, probably started off with about $20,000 in inventory. The other one, which is the one I've had longer, did not start out with $20,000 in inventory. It was probably, I don't know, a couple $1,000s is what the cost was for the inventory, but we had to buy a machine to be able to make it. So it ended up, oh, this thing's in the wrong spot, so you can't really see it, huh? Maybe put it right there. Yeah. So we started with the machine as well, which was a $45,000 machine. I think it was. If we were to buy it new, it would have been $60,000. So I think we got a discount. It was $45,000 because it was used. So we bought the machine and bought all the supplies and stuff like that. So we probably started out, we had a lease on it, and so there's lease payments and everything else. But that, I'd say $20,000 in the negative for that store would probably be pretty fair as well. But you could easily have to start out much higher. So I'm being generous here in saying that only $20,000 in the negative, but this could easily run upwards of, $50, $60, $80, $100,000. Just depends on what you're doing. So it's going to take you a point of time, and I don't know how much of this, so this isn't on a scale, but this is just to show you linearly that as you go, you have to recover your costs and then get to $0 before you break even, and then you keep building. Now, your problem with this model, and I didn't get to really include that in here, is that you have to market, store inventory, ship, and cover customer service, right? So now there's some things you're going to have to do down here too. You're going to still have to do the marketing and the advertising. You still have to do customer service. But storing inventory, shipping, and that negative amount that you start with is going to go away, as you can see down here. So I just put the Kibo cost in here if you want to put that in there, but it's a training, right? So the training, you're still going to be doing training in here. So if you wanted to say, I have a PhD, so I can easily add a 2 in front of this and make this $220,000, right? So then as you grow, you can probably grow just fine on your own and get to, and I put $2 signs here. Why? I don't know the dollar amount. There's no way to figure that out right now. You would have to know the product. You have to know so much stuff. So, but you could probably grow to the profit, to a profitable amount here on your own. But in order to, and this moved, in order to get to the next point where you get to $3 signs, you're going to have to invest more money, hire employees, bigger storage, more inventory. Maybe you get to $4 signs, right? Maybe. But the drop shipping model, which is the Kibo code, right? That is, you're starting out with $3,500 for the one-time payment, or $4,000 if you break it up over a payment plan over 4 months. And then whatever level, I mean, that's a big difference already, right? A big difference already. And you get to a break even, and then you keep building. Now, the biggest difference here is that you can use no matter which one you have, you could probably use this free traffic source. In fact, you can. I know you can. But here I'm going to be limited because I only have, I don't know, 20, 30 products that I do on one store. And then the other store, as soon as I run out, I have to, I only have like 8 of an item, right? Quantity of 8. And then I can't get any more because it's limited. So I have to just keep doing more and more and more and more products. So here, though, I'm going to go, okay, I can test as many products as I want. I don't have to worry about it because I don't have to buy more products. I don't have to buy anything until somebody buys it for me. So here, the investment is so much smaller that you can even build faster and with less people because you're not having to ship the stuff. If it takes you 10 hours a day to ship all the products, you don't have time to do the marketing, to do the, to order supplies. You don't have time to do all of that, right? So you would have to hire more employees to do this. Now, at some point, you're at drop shipping, even with Kibo Code, you're going to hire a VA to help grow faster, right? That's just the way all businesses are. They're going to have to eventually hire people if they want to expand. There's very few businesses that can do a lot without hiring someone at some point. So here, though, you can expand and keep going by yourself for a long time and make quite a bit of money. In fact, you may get to the point where you may say, hey, you know what, that's enough money for me, right? Is there ever enough money? But you may say that. You may say, hey, look, I'm making enough money doing this on my own. I don't mind. Now, to me, I am more about being able to do what I want when I want. And so I don't want to be locked into having to do daily activities and everything else. I don't want to do a job, right? So to alleviate that, what I would do is probably hire VAs to grow faster. In fact, I looked into that a couple of times. And our problem was we weren't making enough money in our business to hire a VA. So we were doing a ton of work, but didn't even have enough money to hire anybody. Right? And if you go, oh, hey, well, how is hiring a VA any different than hiring employees? The difference is when you're hiring somebody to come in and physically fulfill a product, it's legitimately an employee, right? You have to pay medical, possibly. You have to cover workers' comp insurance. You have to pay unemployment insurance or whatever that is to the state. I mean, there's so many things that you have to do, and the cost of your employees here are going to be, $3,000 a month a pop, and that's if you're on the low end, right? And if you're here, you're probably at $5,000, $6,000, maybe $1,000 a month, maybe $1,000 a month for a VA, and they can do a good chunk of heck, they can replace you to begin with, and then you can keep hiring more as you grow. So that's what's nice about this model. Now, I'm not going to lie and say that, oh my gosh, there's no problems with drop shipping. There are definitely problems. I mean, we saw that last year when nobody could get anything shipped in. Right now, logistics is still a problem. It still takes a while to get stuff shipped out to people. So anyway, I wanted you to see the difference of how you can make a lot more money doing this. Now, there are plenty of companies that start with, $500,000 invested, and now they're making, $6 or $7 signs here. And that's because maybe they were in a business that's higher dollar amount, higher profits, higher something, and they're running inventory, but they have employees, right? So they're hiring employees. They have like a warehouse, stuff like that. I mean, that's how a lot of businesses go. So there's a place for both of these, but if you're just getting started, this is super risky. This is super risky. The Kibo Code is not. Kibo Code is probably the least risky one I've ever seen. And for those of you guys who don't know, even though we did get Kibo Code last year, we went through the training. The training is really good. It's solid. The challenges really came with the pandemic. And that was, gosh, guys, there's every single business in the world, I think, was affected one way or another. I mean, Chrissy and I, yes, we got to increase our stores, but there are plenty of stores plenty of people we know that got shut down, that are even in the same industry as us. They couldn't do it because they had a physical location and they weren't allowed to get into their building, right? So you can't look at that and say, oh, well, they should have been able to overcome that, when you can't even expect that from a regular business. I still can't call my doctor's offices without them having trouble, right? I mean, there's a note on the USPS saying, they can't get enough employees in. I have one of my suppliers has a note on their site that says, well, we're going as fast as we can, but expect it to be triple and quadruple the original times because we can't hire people to come in and work because of the pandemic, right? So you can't sit there and go, oh, well, I expect this to be a certain way when everybody was affected. There wasn't anybody that wasn't affected. Now, I'm not saying that they weren't necessarily affected a good way. There's plenty of digital products, I'm sure, that increased and everything else. I'm just saying that it changed everything. It changed the way our entire world functions. So this, if you want to have a more reasonable risk, because there's, obviously you're not going to, if you don't do anything, you don't take action, you'll never be able to recover that. But if you do it, look, at least, give it the 6 months and say, hey, I'm going to make my money back in 6 months. And you will, right? You will. There's no reason why you can't. So that's, but again, no guarantees, no guarantees. That's not my thing. I'd like to say you are guaranteed it, because I don't understand. Same thing was last time, right? Yes, Christy and I decided in March that we didn't have time to do that because we were already growing and expanding ours, but we capped out. We capped out. If we had stayed in Kibo code, we would not have capped out. We could have grown to this number. We could have grown to this number if we had been able to focus the same amount of time on this. And we just had to hold out another month or two and we would have had products. So we are both now reprioritizing our stores and our strategies. So like I've minimized the amount of products I sell, right? So I was selling like 20 or 25 in one of my stores, and I've cut that way back. And then in the other store, I'm stopped at where I am. So I have things that I have to do and everything, but the volatility of the sales on Etsy, for those of you who follow me, you know that it's like one day I can make a lot of money, the next day hardly anything. So I'm focusing more of my time and energy on just day-to-day stuff for that, and then Kibo code, because the other one is just fill it as it comes in, and it's pretty steady on sales, and I have my time set out and everything. But I've narrowed down my products on that because I don't want to get stuck at a maximum of $100,000 a year in profit, right? I want to be able to make this. I want to be able to do this in sales. And I will say that the profits in having your own inventory may be higher. So let me just tell you that if this guy did $455,000, and by the way, this was in, he did that in 4 months, I think. But let's just say that he has a 20% profit. He made $91,000 in 4 months. Let's say he has a 10% profit. He probably has way more than that, by the way, but let's just say he does. He made $45,000 in 4 months. That's more than some people make in a year. Actually, that's more than a lot of people make in a year. So I hope that you will at least look at the business model and take a hard look and see if it's something that you can do, because this only comes around once a year, right? And next year it will be different. And I'm assuming it will be easier, but do you want to wait a whole year? Do you want to wait a whole year to get started? Right? And that's where again, if we hadn't been doing sales, I would have been doing Kibo code, and I probably would have done better last year than I did this year. But if nothing else, I can tell you 20 plus years of experience has taught me that you cannot focus on having your own inventory without planning on growing. And it's a lot more work. I used to do drop shipping back in the day. I've done drop shipping off and on pretty much the whole 20 years I've been in e-commerce. Well, more than 20 years now. I'm not telling you how old I am. Not that it's hard to find, but it's over 20 years in e-commerce. And I started with drop shipping and before the internet, right? I started with drop shipping before the internet, and it was a good business model then. But it was hard because you couldn't find people. You basically were doing, like if you were selling something else, like network marketing things, Avon, whatever, you're reaching out to your friends and family that are there to sell to them. And this is different. E-commerce is different now. It's, drop shipping now is you can have people anywhere. And that's what's great about the way it's shifted. So, and of course, I used to think, oh, it's so hard because this was back when it wasn't easy to get in front of people. And now it's so much easier to market than it was back then. But I was like, oh, I need to make my own product because that way I control more of it. And so that's what I did. And guys, oh my gosh, I can't even tell you how many problems I have with it. So that will be a discussion for another day. If you are ready to make some money, and again, this is not guaranteed, and he did that in 4 months, and I already ran some numbers for you. Go ahead and click the link in the description to get signed up for the next live event. But just remember, this closes by Thursday. I'm going to tell you that there is, depending on when you're watching this, Wednesday is a live workshop. And I think worst case, Thursday, they're going to have a couple of live webinars. But that's it. That's it. It closes on Thursday, right? So if you don't want to miss out, and if you have payment problems or anything else, I don't know if they'll be able to let you in after Thursday because you have to be in the course by Friday. So get as much as you can in place. And, I would recommend if you're ready right now, do it right now, because that way you're in and you can, because we're through module 1, right? Again, module 1 is basic, doing some catch up stuff, making sure you've got some foundational elements in there, but it's important. So you got to get in, go through module 1, and then get ready for module 2, which is on Friday. So if you, the link will take you to my review, which has the link to the workshop, and it'll have this video on there as well and everything else eventually. Then you can also go straight to the sales page here. Sorry, I have a million things in my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got all this stuff to do for Kibo code. Not a lot. It's just, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to get my domain name. Gotta get that. So littlebizresources.com/Kibo2021, that'll take you straight to the sales page. But if you want to watch the webinar that is on Wednesday, then go to the link in the description, because that'll be my review, and there'll be a big button that says sign up for the webinar registration here, right? All right, so please reach out with any questions, hop into the Facebook group. You can send me a message through Messenger if you prefer. And if you go to the review page, you'll have more information on how you can contact me. And if you, I highly recommend you either message me through Messenger or you post in the Facebook group, because that's the easiest way to reach me. And that's it for now. I hope to see you guys in our members area after